face they see, 'cause they don't know me, and that's okay. These are the parts I play, filling in plot holes with all sorts of roles, 'cause there's no small roles, no small roles, no small roles.
Welcome to No Small Roles. This is the show where I speak with fellow actors about their careers and about some of their smaller roles in big movies and TV, and how these roles are in fact not at all small for the actors who play them. Now, today's guest is someone I've never actually met. His name is Chris Grabher. He is an actor. He's a stuntman. He seems to be a clown at times, and if his material and footage is any indication, then he is a very nice, funny, and crazy talented man. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining me.
I appreciate you.
Everyone knows you from like a whole lot of things. I looked at your IMDb and there's not a lot of things on there. So I'm just going to name a couple.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you may not know that you're in these. Okay. So General Hospital, Alice in Wonderland, Big Time Rush, Hannah Montana, Water for Elephants, NCIS, Stranger Things VR, Good Luck Charlie, Teen Wolf, Sam and Cat, Grey's Anatomy, Community, CSI Cyber, Mascots, The Greatest Showman, All Rise, Raymond and Ray. And then, so those are just some of the acting ones, and I didn't put them all. And then there's like some stunt ones. And this is just a few of them. There's Heroes, Alice in Wonderland, Chuck, The Muppets, Ben and Kate, Justified, Dark Skies, Modern Family, The Thundermans, Awkward, Bones, Big Bang Theory, Mascots, Santa Clarita Diet, Superstore, Bumblebee, For All Mankind, The Rookie, Spider-Man Far From Home, Tenet, Them, Station 19, The Flight Attendant, Avatar, The Way of the Water. Babylon, Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F, The Studio, Platonic, and like I said, that's just a few of them.
Whew.
You work a lot.
It's been okay. Yeah, we've it's been an interesting journey to say the least, and I'm hearing all of those credits, and you are right. Like, oh, you kind of forget over the years, like, oh,
yeah,
right, we did that like 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and where I was and that part of my life, and the juggling, no pun intended, of between the circus, the stunt work, and the acting. It's eclectic, I would say. Right.
And you have a family as well. From what you just said, it sounds like you have a wife and a couple of kids.
That's right. Yep, my wife and I have 2 kids, and we live here in Burbank, California. And I've been living here for I think 20 years now in Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, 20 years now.
So you got there when I left.
Yes.
Yeah, I left in 2005. Wow. So there's actual life juggling too, not just the juggling that you do.
That's right.
But before we dive in, I have to ask you, this is usually hits emotionally. It's the first question I ask. So have tissues ready, but do you prefer grilled cheese with tomato or without?
Oh boy. I think I'm going to go without for the grilled cheese. However, I love tomatoes.
Okay.
I like to stay classic.
Wow, that's 2 in a row of just plain grilled cheese people.
Yes, grilled cheese with tomato soup. I know that's not the question, but...
Oh, that's good, though. That is good.
Right.
Do you push your lack of tomato on your grilled cheese on your children, or they get to decide for themselves? Or do they not like it at all?
Yeah, there's nothing I can say to influence their likes, wants, and needs when it comes to their diet.
I understand.
I'm a lost cause. My hands are in the air. I let the wife try to deal in that department because
I get that.
They're just forget it.
Do you guys have Nutella in your house?
Oh, do we have it? I think I have a subscription to the Costco in bulk delivery.
Oh, it's so, yeah. No, that's a problem in our house. And my kids are way older than yours. So yeah, careful with that.
Yes.
So yeah, if we had not purchased it all those years and saved up for college instead, I could have not gotten a loan yesterday for my son's college, but whatever. Now, you're a very smart guy. Obviously, you're from Queens, New York. You can juggle burning wigs,
Yes.
You live in Burbank, which has a good amount of earthquakes. So clearly you're very intelligent. So
Right.
why are you an actor?
Right. I started the acting thing on the East Coast. I'm from the New England area. I began my career, so to speak, in New York City.
Okay.
Why am I an actor? I think my answer is this similar answers to a lot of people, like you kind of the bug, right?
Sure.
I took to sort of show business when I was really, really young, like 6, 7, 8 years old, young. I was really fascinated with silent films. This is really strange.
Okay.
I had this sort of hobby of like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton movies, and I was exposed to these movies when I was really young. And for whatever reason, I was just very entertained by these kinds of things. And I just like the physicality of that stuff. And for whatever reason, it just became sort of my hobby. Like when I was young, I would practice falling down or dressing up in weird costumes and kind of running around like a lot of kids do. And that's sort of just translated to like, this is fun. But I didn't I think with a lot of people, like there's no sort of like, I'm going to be an actor when I grow up. I think it was just, well, this is just what I'm doing. This is just like, I'm going to do the play, the musical. I'm going to join that group and participate on stage. And, then your father gets the VHS, the camcorder, and you start making your movies. I think that's what it was. So it wasn't really like a sort of decision of like, I'm going to choose this. It just was.
Who introduced you to those Buster Keaton and Chaplin? Because someone your age wouldn't normally run into those.
Okay, so and not to streamline or get off like on a weird tangent, but I guess this has to do with sort of how my career was born, which is weird to say, but I joined a circus when I was really young. I auditioned for this youth circus that was on the East Coast. But when I auditioned for this youth circus, I didn't know what a circus was or really what that meant. I knew that I was going to dress up in a costume and perform something. And I just auditioned. My mom's like, here. And so to me, I thought, oh, I'm joining a play. And so when I got this opportunity to perform with this youth circus, which turned into many years, that is where they introduced me to this sort of this whole arena of content of like, oh wow, look at these silent film stars that are clowns, like Keaton and the Marx Brothers and Chaplin and Harold Lloyd and and that's the answer, right? So I was introduced to that through my circus beginnings when I was a young kid.
And was your family amused by the stuff that you were learning and the pratfalls that you were doing? Did you find something and that was like, oh, I'm getting a reaction to these silly things I'm doing? Was it that part of it?
Yeah, there's a little bit of that, right? Not so much not so much from maybe my father, sure, but when grandma was in town, visiting, there I is running out with the big costumes and falling down and getting a big reaction, and I was really, it was just something that I felt like I was good at, right? Just like the creativity behind it. It wasn't just like falling down, but just I think the creativity of it was something I really, really enjoyed. Like I really enjoyed like coming up with just fun stories to tell, like dressed up in costumes. And so, yes, the reaction, and I just felt like I was good at it. People were like, oh, do that thing, walk on your hands. That's really cool. And it was really natural for me. So
I will show some clips of that too. It's so impressive. I want to ask you, because you are in LA, and it seems that you like Buster Keaton. Have you visited his grave?
Oh, I actually stumbled upon a photo of the actual grave, and I haven't. That's the short answer.
It's so close to you.
I know. There's been opportunities that I've literally walked very close to it, and the fact that I haven't, I should throw myself out a window for that.
Like Laurel and Hardy are right next to him, but it's like the most subtle grave. I'm like, oh my God, it's Buster Keaton.
Right.
It's kind of sad, but
it's not a big thing. Right.
Yeah. So I want you to have a much bigger grave in many, many years down the road.
Yes. I
in
Great.
85 years from right now. Sorry,
That's-
we're getting
that's
very
the
dark.
spirit. Right.
Okay. So before we continue, I have the segment coming up later on in the show called The Kiss and Tell, where people share a behind the scenes story of something that inspired them or turned them off or just made them very sad or whatever. So in one word, can you tease your kiss and tell?
Ladder.
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 Okay, ladder.
Ball. I can't switch, can I?
You can, sure you can.
Ball.
Ball. Okay. As in like bawling your eyes out?
Maybe.
Oh, we'll see then. All right. Okay, so you got into this circus school. I want to say clown school, but that was our friend Anthony Hoang who did that. You got into circus school, and it sounds like you were also doing theater at the same time, like school plays.
Correct. Yeah, I was the sort of theater geek growing up. I did all the plays and the musicals. It was a ton of fun. I think that's how a lot of people get their feet wet or their start.
Sure.
School was school, and just like a lot of sort of entertainers or actors, that's where you kind of find your stride or learn how that whole thing works. And I really loved all of that very much. I went to a great high school on the East Coast. It was a great, the high school had a great music department. We put on really great musicals. I'm still in touch with some friends that from high school that we did those shows with. And oddly enough, when I was leaving high school, heading to New York, I sort of took off the whole sort of circus skill or that sort of thing that I was really good at. I sort of sidelined that for a long time while I was sort of entering into my early 20s.
Why?
Well, I studied at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City, right? And it was like it was a drama conservatory, and I was there for 3 years, and we were doing just sort of the typical, just dramas and stuff. And that program wasn't really designed like maybe more of a traditional college where you could have electives in other areas where maybe I could have brought in some of my other hidden abilities or undiscovered talents at that time. Like we were strictly doing like, you're going to be an actor, right? That's what, so that's why ultimately I just didn't have the room in my early 20s. And then finishing conservatory, I did this, the route of like, get an agent and a manager, which all happened quickly. I was sort of like, Seth Green was really popular at that time.
Sure.
And I like just the way my hair was or the way I looked, and I was like kind of short and I fell into that category. So I started working commercially and was getting called a lot during that time because of sort of like the early, like the 90s popularity of like the Freddie Prinze Jr., the Seth Greens, that kind of stuff.
All those teen movies and all, all that stuff.
I was really popular at that time. And I just sort of physically fit into that mold. Sure. And I was young and hungry and full of energy. And at that point, the circus stuff was sidelined and my sort of stunt stuff was not really working for me at that point.
And it sounds like you were not a timid person. You sounded very comfortable in your own skin, and it wasn't like there were nerves in the way. You're just like, I'm going to do this thing. It's what I'm made to do, and I'm doing it. Yeah.
I mean, I was New York City, living, in so many shoebox apartments, and just embracing it all, and doing the odd catering jobs, and doing children's theater. Right, I got my equity card doing children's theater, touring productions of various shows, and then started breaking into like smaller commercials and stuff, and then finally they got a little bigger, which helped me move to LA. That doesn't hurt.
Is your family in it at all? Were your parents at all? It could sound, from what you said earlier, it sounds like definitely not your dad.
No, no, my parents are not at all like showbiz people or even like artsy people at all. Like they're pretty, I don't know how I arrived into my family, truthfully. I guess the only connection, which is kind of fun, is that my grandmother was in the Godfather movie.
What?
Right. So she's an extra. She's from New York. And she has a really great scene in the opening of The Godfather, and it's like crystal clear. And every time it comes on AMC, I'm like, Grandma, there you are!
That's so cool.
And she's 98, and I just visited her
wow.
2 weeks ago, and she's still telling the same old story. When I was in The Godfather, and
That is so cool. That is so cool.
So,
And like one of the biggest movies of all time. So that's not a bad
Right.
movie to be an extra in.
and she just gave me all of these autographs. Like I have Marlon Brando's autograph from the set, and all she went around and I just got this little booklet of all of her autographs.
Which you sold on eBay.
Maybe.
Ugh, no. Don't tell Grandma. That's amazing.
But my parents and even my sisters, like they were very supportive, but they're not really close linked to this business. So I think they've had fun along the way, kind of watching what I've been doing.
Oh, I'm sure.
That's been fun.
Bragging rights. I'm sure there's been a good amount of bragging rights.
Yeah.
As you probably do for them and whatever they do for their lines of work.
Right. Yes. We're a supportive family.
But that's it. Coming from that sort of foundation does sound good. Because being from an artsy family, which I am, it's it's a little unpredictable and in various ways.
Yeah, for sure. Right. There was never any discussion of like what I was going to do with my life or even talking options. Like when I was young, that was it. Like Chris was going to do this thing and that's what I just did. So there wasn't any like, let's sit down, son. And are you sure about this? Like there wasn't any of that. They were pretty supportive.
And it was all right there. It's not like you were in Indiana, like I want to be an actor or performer and there's nowhere to do it. You were right there.
Right. That helps. That really helped that it was accessible to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty accessible.
So you mentioned your grandmother having done background work in The Godfather. I see earlier in what I think might be some background work on your IMDb.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see.
Across the Universe?
Oh, right. So that was
what is that?
Right. That was the last thing I did before I moved to LA. I actually remember that. A buddy of mine was saying, "Hey, I'm doing this background thing and on Across the Universe, you should come and join me." And so I did it. It was like the last bit of money that I could scrounge together before moving to LA.
Yeah.
So I went over there and, New York City back in, I don't even remember the date of that, but nonetheless, like,
Sure.
Right, we're jumping from gig to gig, right? Like, I got off the Children's Theater tour, touring around, and I think I had one regional commercial playing at that time. And then, right, I mean, if you think about it, you're kind of living check to check. And and still there's still elements of that today in some regard. But yeah, we did this thing and I don't even. Yeah, I went and did some background work with my buddy.
That's great.
Yeah.
What
Oh yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I just went and did it, and it was like, oh, what's going on over here?
And I guess, and I wasn't saying that to say, oh, you did background work, because I don't think there's nothing at all wrong with that. That was very early on in your career as well. Sure. Sure, you've done the shows and you've done a lot of commercials, but also that I was thinking in terms of your segue from being more in the regional area, the commercials and maybe some TV spots, to moving into LA and getting into some of these bigger productions. What would you say was your first principal role in LA where you're like, oh, this is a good credit for me. This is going to help me?
Well, that was commercially. Like when I got to LA, I got an agent really very quickly. Like I think I did one of those workshops. I think it was a workshop. Right. Okay. Like a showcase. I'm sorry, a showcase.
Sure.
That I had signed, that I had linked up from New York. We're going to go to LA. We're going to showcase for the week where you do monologues and scenes, and the agents and managers look at you and sign you, whatnot. But I ended up signing very quickly. Like that first week, and I've been with my agent for like now almost 20 years now. So well,
it's great that you both have that loyalty.
Yeah, we've had the same relationship now for 20 years. So that's been good. But and I ended up, it was really, sorry for rambling, my first sort of like, I don't know if you want to even call any of these things breaks, but I did a McDonald's commercial like like right away, like within the first 2 months of arriving in LA, I booked a principal in a McDonald's commercial. Now, funny
That's
enough,
huge.
or oddly enough, like the role was a mime, right?
Okay.
A mime in this McDonald's commercial. And now I'm here in LA and it's a whole new arena, right? Like you go and there are, 200 mimes like lined up. And you're down on La Brea, right? 200 South La Brea.
With the painted faces and all?
With the painted face.
Okay.
And you're getting a parking ticket out front, and I'm new, and I've got like 3 tickets on my car because I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know it, but I remember going in there and just, doing my thing, and I booked it. And it was me and one other guy in the commercial, and I had no idea that what a national commercial at that time did, right? I was like, wow, they will pay you a lot of money for this. And
as for exposure as well, like financially and exposure wise?
Correct. Like it was really like, whoa, this is really good. And so like my first year in LA was really like, okay, because this thing now hit the air. And then from there, like was able to just parlay that into, I was getting commercial auditions right away a lot that first year. Oh, actually, for a couple of years. I was very busy commercially.
This agent must have loved you immediately. They must have been like, yes, we made the right choice with this guy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And I thought, and oddly enough, like I think people have experiences of if you do something like quickly right away, it sort of paints this picture of like, oh, well, this is going to be easy.
Of course.
And I think I was under that illusion for the first like 2 years in LA.
We've all done that.
I'm like, oh, LA, I made it.
I'm a New York actor.
Cut to reality check, that all ends, there's ends to that. And you're like, oh no, now I can't book anything. Right. Now
it all comes in phases. It's all like that all along our careers, I think.
Right. And then not to sort of drag this on, but
no, please.
From that, yeah, I was able to get into those offices and try to get those co-star roles. I think that was the stepping stone, right? Like those little like one-liners, like on Grey's Anatomy and stuff like that. And those are really hard auditions. I find it so hard because you go in, you have like 5 lines to prove yourself, or 1 line for that matter,
which
right?
is impossible.
Like, what do you do? Right? Like, you say your 1 line and you have like 1 shot at it and they're like, thank you.
And you put all your weight into it. You like overthink it. Like, how can I stand out without standing out?
Right. And then you go outside and you've got another parking ticket on your car and you're like, God.
You're paying to be an actor at that point, just in parking tickets.
Oh yeah. And that's what happened a lot.
So what was so the McDonald's thing happens,
right.
You do some commercials, it's
right.
up and downs.
Yeah.
When were you like, oh, this is a good little TV gig that I got here?
Well, Disney, so I started I worked on a show called Sam and Cat, which is, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Nickelodeon.
Ariana Grande?
Right. Ariana Grande. And I kind of got into this. Yeah, I was a co-star on that show. Or no, it was a guest star on that show. And then that like Nickelodeon, Disney, and again, this goes back sometimes. So I had like maybe a little more hair, a little less gray. So you kind of get into a
compared to me,
I'm backlit for a reason.
You look amazing.
Oh,
yeah, same here.
Get a Scotch tape somewhere.
Yeah, me too.
Right, Scotch tape. I started doing like stunt work with Disney a lot. Like Disney, then I started like parlaying into doing stunts on those shows. Like I became sort of a regular face, like in the casting offices, and then I met a stunt coordinator, and who started regularly bringing me in to work on the Disney shows, like Wizards of Waverly Place, and oh boy, a lot of them. I can't even remember, but there was a bunch of Disney shows that I was kind of regular with.
Yeah,
where you go in, and the way that works is that they'll take an actor, or so and sometimes like with stunt performers, such as myself, which that's sort of another degree of what I do.
Yeah.
They'll like, in some cases, you'll have a stunt double, right? Like a guy who will double an actor for doing a piece of action,
Sure.
or they'll have an action actor, which they'll just hire like a stunt performer to say the line and then fall on your head. You know what I mean? So it's sort of like two birds with one stone. So I was doing a lot of that, and it was because of my size and my look, and I fit into those shows really quickly. So
But and your talent to do those things. I mean, it kind of gave you a leg up, so to speak, on other people, because you could do both things and well on both ends.
Okay, so that's exactly what happened. So at that point, I had to figure out how can I like work? How can I work not just like once a year? Like how can I be on the set? How can I even just get there? And so that's when I kind of reopened this physical background that I had, right? Like more seriously.
And was that still somewhat paused since high school when you were getting more serious, being more serious actor? Or had you been continuing that somewhere on the side, the kind of pratfally?
A little bit. It was always sort of there.
Sure.
I wasn't really in pursuit of it. And I wasn't really, I just wasn't doing it that much. It was paused just because there wasn't room for it at that point, or there wasn't really a purpose for it at that point. Like New York was like, we were just doing theater and shows and touring around, and there wasn't a need for it. Then when I came to LA, that the spectrum of being in Los Angeles and like the content and like the need for much more than a guy saying a couple lines here and there, like, oh wow, now we're making movies, we're doing big stuff, they need this, they need that, they need a guy who can walk down steps on their hands, they need, anyway, there was like a broader spectrum that I said, whoa, you know, maybe I've got something to offer, maybe I should take a closer look at that so I can work. Like it was just sort of, that's what I did. And
you saw that opportunity, or how did you make that segue?
Yeah, I had friends that were strictly stunt men, right? And I really didn't even know what that meant, really. I go, okay, you had a stunt double, like in movies, and that was it. But actually, there are stunt departments on these big movies and television shows. And in the stunt departments, there are stunt actors and stunt coordinators. And it's like a whole other little secret division that are bringing this content to life. And I didn't even know about that. A lot of people don't know that about, oh, whoa, there's this whole other little thing that's happening that's actually like making these movies sing, right? The action and the physicality of these stuff. A lot goes into it.
Do they go around the normal casting routes? Like, is there someone on the stunts side of casting, or is it kind of both?
No, a little bit. It's a little of both, though. I mean, sometimes you kind of swoop in like the back door, like through the stunt department, but often the times you do have to go through casting, like a regular actor would. Like a stunt coordinator would say, hey, like I worked on the movie Tenet, like with Christopher Nolan, and there was like a little part in there, and I was sort of already connected with the stunt department, but they were like, you got to go through casting, and I did, and I ended up booking the spot, but I did have to go into that, you know, so I proved myself physically, and then I had to prove myself as an actor. But yeah, so to circle back to how that happened, I was exposed to it through friends that were just in that. And I was like, what is this? What are you guys doing? And they were like, this is how you kind of get in. You and Chris, you've got these skills from when you were a kid working in the circus. You can use that. And I was like, oh, this is great. So I started knocking on those doors to just work. And that's what I did. You know, as sort of part of the career, you know.
I took a piece of your stunt reel. So I'm going to play just a piece of that so people get an idea of some of the things you do. But here we go. Now, I want to remind you, you are a father now.
Yeah.
How does that play into this, and what's your wife think?
Oh boy, yeah.
I imagine you were doing this when you met her, is my assumption.
I was doing it. I still am doing some of this stuff, and she's just got the ibuprofen like lined up for me when I come home. But
it brings in some money, which doesn't hurt.
It helps. Yeah, it all helps. I was just watching that, and anyway, yeah, that brings back memories.
Are you Bumblebee? Like, were you Bumblebee in that?
Yeah, I completely forgot about that, and
that's so cool.
Watching that clip, there's like a little moment where like you see me walking around on stilts, maybe like
yes,
I'm wrapped up, and I'm like really high, and again, it was like that was a cool moment where you get called into a casting, and you're like, okay, for this movie we want a stunt performer to wear these stilts to be able to act with the actors. And we're going to do a combination of motion capture where they put all the dots on you, or for the VFX team. So you'll do the action and then you're replaced by the CGI. And so there's a lot of different things to how they put that together. But yes, I was Bumblebee in the movie Bumblebee.
So cool. And that's a good movie.
What's that?
That's one of the good ones.
That was a good one. Yeah. That was a good run. I really enjoyed that. That was really cool experience. And yeah, I had a great time doing that. But funny about that, I remember auditioning for that. I went to, where was I? I think maybe one of the lots. And I walked through, like, those little bungalows. Sometimes like when you audition, you go like right to the little bungalow where the director is or producer. Like sometimes like they'll like there wasn't even a real casting office. Like I was in my stilts, like going through the door of the little bungalow, like on the back.
Do you have your own stilts? Did you have?
Like I brought my stilts, and I'm like out back, like, and they're like, "Oh, Chris, you just wait. The director, he's waiting for you."
Like, I can't fit in this building.
I'm like trying to strap on the stilts, and like I'm crawling through the doorway, and like I'm too tall my head is pressed against the ceiling, so you walk through it. You're like head up there, and you're high, and you're towering over people, and they didn't realize, like, oh wait, this guy's gonna be really tall. Can we fit him? But that was that moment.
But you could probably play that up, I imagine, in the moment, in that sort of goofy Bumblebee character. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. You just use your environment.
Exactly. That is so cool. Because I was going to ask, had you done a lot of stilt work before? But it appears you own some already. So.
Yeah, by the nature of the job, you pick up things along the way. I wasn't a professional stilt walker at all, but I had all the tools up my sleeve, so to speak, that as these sort of opportunities come around, like it's an acting job, right? How do you prepare for the role? So you've got to learn quick, right? Like,
and you really are doing, for a lot of these, and I'll play some of the acting clips as well. You really are doing acting, and you're doing some stunt work. So I mean, I don't know how you balance that, because obviously you have to be careful of what you're doing stunt-wise, but then you want to stay in character. Does one help the other, or do you find it difficult to kind of keep your head on top of both at the same time?
That's a good question. And I think always with anything, it's a hard question to answer. And I think each job or each opportunity poses their own sort of, you approach it differently every time you go into it. Some of the stuff is more physically more important or heavy, and some of it's the acting. But at the end of the day, the job is always to sort of fulfill the story of the script, right? Like that's the job. Like I have to now tell what's my part, what's my role, how do I tell the story? How do I give them what they need so they can tell the story? And then I sort of assess like how I approach the physicality and like the risk management of that versus the acting and stuff. So no pun intended, but it's kind of a juggling act for each job.
It totally makes sense. I'm going to play another clip, if you don't mind, from Raymond and Ray. Cool, and this is, I think, a perfect example of where your ability to do the stunts and the acting, they're both so essential in this role. But I'm just going to play this here.
Got a cool story about that one, but sure.
Okay, here we go.
You have anything to drink?
Yeah. I mean, they're warm.
Thanks. Oh, thanks.
When do you guys head back?
Tonight, by bus. We have a show in Charlotte tomorrow.
Did you see the old man often?
Oh, we never met him.
He wanted us here anyway.
But how long were they together with your mom?
Oh, not long.
A week or two?
Our stepdaddy's our true father. I want to hear all about this.
You'll get a kick out of it. No offense.
Look at these guys! They're acrobats!
Hup! Hey!
Come on, do some more!
That's enough, little man. Come see us sometime.
Please?
Oh, come on. There's nothing wrong with a few tricks.
Oh. There we go. Settle it. There it is.
Hey!
Bravo, bravo, bravo.
Coming down.
Benches.
Here we go. In.
That's so weird and kind of off-putting, but so good. What's your story from that?
That Raymond and Ray, boy, that's like a highlight of my career. Actually, I had a really amazing time working on that film. Stars Ethan Hawke and Ewan McGregor, and it's about a father who passes away, and then all these brothers come to celebrate his life at this funeral, and sort of all these shenanigans happen. And that was a good example of like how, boy, getting that role was interesting. It was a hustle. Like I got wind of that movie through an associate casting director. I'm like, oh, there's this thing that might be happening, and we don't know much about it, but they're looking for maybe they need two twins, and there's this guy here in LA that sort of looks like me a little bit. Like we get mistaken a lot, or like we often audition for the same things. And
yeah,
like I call them up, I'm like, yo, hey, listen, like I'm getting wind of this project. There's no casting at this point. There is no audition. There's nothing, like no agents know about this at this point. I just get wind of it. I'm like, they're looking for twins. They need to be actors. They're looking for brothers, I think. But here's the catch. We need to be like Cirque du Soleil acrobats. Like there's a little moment. And at that point, again, that's all I know. I don't know anything else, but I know they're brothers. So what I did was I wrote a scene about brotherhood. I literally wrote a scene. I'm like, okay, I don't know. I called my buddy. I wrote this scene. I'm like, meet me at the gym. So he comes over and I'm like, read these lines. We're just going to make up our own scene about being brothers. So we do that. Like, we filmed this whole scene about, and I have no idea about Raymond and Ray or what the movie is.
Yeah.
We filmed a 2-minute acting scene about brotherhood. Then we made up our own like Cirque du Soleil routine together, right? And at that point, I'm like, I think they're twins. And he had blonde hair, and we dyed his hair dark. We went to like Target and got matching uniforms.
And this is without knowing there's even a real possibility of this thing.
Right.
Crazy.
Right. And this is like how it, for all you young kids, like this is sort of like the only way you can get a job is to like, how do you get there? Right. You got to figure out a way. It's just so hard. So yeah, we sent this in. Like I sent this to the casting director. I'm like, look, like, forgive me, but here. And they watched that scene that we filmed, and they called me like a week later being like, hey, we're sending this director. Who are you guys? Like, you're out of your mind for doing this. And I'm like, yeah, we'd love to know more about your movie, and they ended up calling us in, and we auditioned 3 times, and we went to test, and we booked the part. We were like, oh my God. And when we went to our final callbacks, like when we did our studio test, there were like real twin, like fraternal twins in the room. Like we walked, it was at this point, it was done virtually because COVID had hit or at that point. But I remember like being in the waiting room and here I am with my guy, and there's like these fraternal twins, and we're like,
you're like, forget it.
That's it. But like when we booked that, like we just couldn't believe it. That whole weird idea of writing your own thing, creating your own opportunity led to that booking. And then we went to Richmond, Virginia for like a month, and the Escalades pulled up, picked us up. We arrived on set and met Ethan Hawke, and he came out and was like, I'll never forget it. He says, "Welcome to the party, boys." And that was That was the intro. So it was cool.
Good for you. That is, talk about initiative. And I imagine at that third callback before you got it with those other people in the room, the only thing you didn't have there was being actual twins. But talent-wise, as far as acrobats, the acting, like that's obviously where you and your initiative, I'm sure, told them these are the guys. They want it bad, they're hungry, and they're good.
Yeah, they sent me like my character. I played my character's Jewish in that film, and I had to learn this whole thing in Hebrew, this whole like prayer of the dead in Hebrew, the Kaddish, and I was like, oh my gosh, and it was really exciting because now I'm like, okay, I got to be an actor, like I got to learn this whole thing, and I went to a rabbi, and I'm like, can you help me like learn this? I got to sound legit because I'm going to be on set with, Ethan Hawke, and you can't fool Ethan Hawke.
Nor Ewan McGregor.
Right. And so I went to this rabbi. I learned the Kaddish, right, like verbatim. And the director actually wanted to see that before I got to set. He's like, can you just give me an idea of how this is going to work? So I remember like zooming with him and the producers and like doing the whole thing like from my heart. And like I had it cold and it was really great. And then when we were shooting that little sequence in Virginia, we're in this cemetery and I'm standing next to Ethan Hawke and we're just doing a rehearsal, right, for camera. And we're going through the whole scene. And here's my big moment. I'm like, oh, here it comes the cut. This is like the real actor moment here. So I start doing it. And if I do it from start to finish, it's 1 minute, which I know in my heart will never make the film because 1 minute is too long. Mm-hmm. But I do it. And I'm like, I'm going through it. And I've got tears running down my eyes. And I'm doing the Kaddish. And then when I finish, Ethan Hawke breaks character. And he looks at me and he goes, damn, that was beautiful. He goes, damn, that was beautiful. And the director's like, okay, cut. And I was like, thank you.
And then restart and do it again because Ethan Hawke screwed it up. Yeah.
He's like, now we're going to shoot this thing. And then, of course, in the film, there's like 15 seconds of it,
But that's so cool. And to get that kind of feedback from one of the veterans that both of us have been watching.
Oh, yeah. And those guys were just the best. Like they were so giving and generous with their knowledge and experience with us. We were just excited to be there. And they were generous with us and very thankful.
You earned that, though. You earned that more than I've heard anyone earn any other role. Like, wow, so impressive.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to go through too, right? Like butterflies in your stomach, trying to like this is a big one. We're gonna try to and then call back. You think you're gonna get it, but they call you in again.
Sure.
It's the actor's thing, right? You have to go through it.
Have you gone for any other roles like you went for that one?
Not like that. No, that's a specific thing. That sort of stands on its own. The experience, the type of role. I mean, sure, I've gotten offers and I've gotten opportunities of roles that are maybe similar, but nothing like that. I think that might be its own thing. So,
well, I was thinking it because I haven't seen the whole film, but I'm like, that guy looks so much like you. I actually didn't know which one you were because I didn't really know you yet.
We did our job. We had to become twins.
It was well done. I'm going to play a little montage of some other acting clips, and then we'll start getting to the other side of this thing. But here is a little montage.
It's retribution. They did not take it well. One mime in particular.
Ow! Screw you!
What? Hey.
Hey, kids! It's me! Juggo!
Yay! I love Juggo!
Okay, kids, you see these 3 wigs on a stick? Well, check this out. Now, watch Juggo go. Look at me. I'm juggling flaming wigs.
Give the guy a break. He probably still lives with his mother in her basement.
He's probably never dated a woman.
Juggo can hear you.
What'd you say?
What did he say? I can't hear him.
I can't. Wait, just let the other guy talk.
Blanks, you whispering wimp.
You get to play the most fun stuff in the world. I do like a lot of doctors and lawyers. I should have gone to clown school and circus school to do fun stuff.
Yeah, it is fun, and I've just dreamed of just I'd like to play a cowboy, or not that kind of cowboy, a real cowboy maybe one of these days. But it's fun.
Yeah, that one looks fun. I see. Oh, so you said you had mentioned the Nickelodeon stuff earlier, and I see the what's that show called again? Sam and Cat. I think. And that was Dan Schneider, right?
That's right. Yeah.
How was it? Because I worked with him. I worked behind the scenes when I first moved to LA.
Yeah.
On 3 shows with him, 3 or 4 shows with him. And how was your experience with that? And given the documentary that came out, if you want to talk about it.
They called me actually about all that. But that aside,
sure.
It was all good. I have always had, I haven't had any bad experiences I can't think of a professional experience where I didn't have a good time or a positive experience. I think, so to answer your question, great. Like Dan Schneider, the whole Nickelodeon team, everyone was there really working really hard, creating great content. Everyone's there doing their jobs. And the same thing with Disney. Like I did a lot of work for them too. And nothing but good experiences. And I typically go into those jobs, like any job, like, thank you for having me. Like,
yes,
I'm here. Like, I don't care. Like, someone's yapping about overtime or like their wardrobe not fitting. I'm like, I don't care. I'm here.
I'm the same way. I had no bad experiences either. My wife and I worked in the same show with him, and we were production assistants, and he was so nice with me, would carry me on to every other job. And he used to have things mailed from eBay to our house. And my wife's like, this is so weird. Like, what's in those packages? Why is he having that mailed to our house? But I was like, I think he just doesn't want, because he's somewhat famous, he doesn't want stuff going to his house. But
funny, interesting.
But I never had a bad experience. He was a nice guy with me. And
I mean, I was doing that material that he wrote. I mean, that was his stuff that he wrote. So I always loved this idea of like, as an actor, as right, you're giving a voice to the creation of the writers, right? They're like, you get that's the opportunity. Like, they don't really know what it's going to look like or even sound. They sort of have an idea, and then that's your job. And that to me, being an actor, that's like one of the best parts about it is like, you get this piece of material and then you give this,
you bring it to life,
your own thing. And then you get to sort of hear and see the reaction. And that's really, it's kind of like a little mini performance, right? They're like, Dan Schneider's like laughing.
Oh, I'm sure. You're juggling wigs, burning wigs. How fun is that?
I remember my hand doing that. I remember the piece of wig like melted off and like on my hand. I was like,
oh, jeez. Did you stay in character? Really?
Yeah. Like, take 2. Can we go again?
Oh, God. Okay, so we are coming to the point where, first, before we get there, I'm going to ask you, do you have any advice for up-and-coming actors? I know there was a little bit earlier, but anything you wish you had known before you jumped into this kooky business?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. You got to just love it a lot, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a hard business. It's a rewarding business. It's a heartbreaking business.
Yes.
I'll say this, there is really no one way to do it, right? And like maybe some of my stories are maybe a small example, and not to say that I'm like something like extremely special by any means, but what worked for me was sort of my own path, how to get it, how to arrive there. And it starts with, you just got to really love it, right? Just like all of it. And it's not going to come right away. You just have to stick with it. I mean, it's a cliche thing to say, but stick with it and find your own way, because things that work for some people like simply do not work for others.
Precisely. Everyone has a different story. That's why I do this, because it's really interesting to hear how everyone gets there, and your story is not going to make it work for them. But one important lesson from how you went after the Raymond and Ray thing is to show people that don't wait for it, pursue it, go for it, because it's not going to naturally come to you unless there's some sort of magic around you. But
right, you let them tell you no. You don't have to tell yourself no, right? So go for it, because you actually don't know And I think I've been in situations you get a piece of material like, well, I'm just not right for this, or I'll never play this. Well, let them decide that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
If you're given an opportunity, go for it, because sometimes they say like, oh, whoa, I wasn't thinking about that. Like, you could do that. So yeah, go for everything.
And what a gift. I was thinking back to that again. What a gift you gave that casting, because when they saw those roles, we need twins that can do this and act. Like, how are we going to find that? And then you're like, hey, here we are. Here's a gift on a platter.
Right.
Like,
right. Just show it. Show them. You show them what you have to offer, and you never know.
And it shows castings on our side too. They want us to succeed. They want themselves to succeed.
Right. Right.
Do you have any hocus pocus before you hop onto a set? Anything that gets you in the zone? Make sure you don't burn yourself alive. What do you do when you hop on a set, if there is anything to go, I'm in the zone?
Oh, I just try to get a good night's sleep, and I just
is that hard?
Yeah, it is. I typically don't sleep that great before a day at set, depending. But no, I don't have any real rituals. I do actually. I get there early. I get there really early. If I have a call time, I'm in the parking structure like 45 minutes before that. I'm parked. I'm ready. I'm always super early. Never want to be stressed day before set or on set, the morning of, on your call time. Running late is like the worst thing to do. So if you book a job, get there an hour early, parked, get familiar with it. And that
Great advice. That is perfect advice.
Yeah.
I'm going to play this little clip, and then I believe this is going to lead us into the kiss and tell. Well, actually, this little clip's a little longer than the others. I'm going to play the whole thing.
Oh.
I'm sure I'll get a copyright hit, and I'll have to trim it, but for now, it is 3 minutes long.
Squirrel.
Hedgehog.
Good routine.
Oh gosh.
Sid the Hedgehog from London, England.
Lovely.
Wow. Amazing. So this, I believe, is your kiss and tell, and your word was ball.
Yes.
Please tell.
Ladder. That's my.
Oh, it was ladder, and then it became ball.
Right. I switched.
It's ladder ball. It's 2 words.
Yeah. That was from the movie Mascots, directed by Christopher Guest. And that was another like little highlight, I suppose, or a really fun moment of I don't know, a situation where it was like behind the scenes that kind of led to that role, because I wasn't initially cast as that spot.
What were you cast as?
Well, I got a phone call. So the Tony Award winning actor Bill Irwin, if you don't know who he is, like Bill Irwin, who is sort of like the clown prince of Hollywood.
I'm thinking of that Australian guy that got the ray in his chest and died. That Steve
right,
Irwin?
not Steve. Bill, actor Bill Irwin.
Okay.
Who has done just so much amazing things in his career. Who is kind of known for his physicality. He's on. I'm trying to think of like, oh gosh, I'm gonna butcher this. He's on Sesame Street as the. He's Mr. Noodle on Sesame Street.
Oh, I know exactly who he is. Yes.
But amongst that, I mean, his career is so vast, and he's done so many big roles in dramas, and he works for Christopher Nolan a lot now. But he came from the circus world, and so initially Bill Irwin was workshopping this mascot thing here in LA, and he was connected with Netflix at that time with Christopher Guest, and I got a phone call just to say, hey, will you meet Bill at a gym? And I'm a huge fan of Bill Irwin. Like he is sort of my model career, and I met him at the gym to help him sort of workshop him doing this hedgehog. And at that time, they didn't know what it was going to be. They didn't know what it was going to look like. What's this routine? So I was literally running a camera for Bill, kind of workshopping this hedgehog and running around and falling down. And I don't know. And he would send these tapes to Christopher Guest for like notes to say like, what do you think about this or whatnot? And then eventually during that week of workshopping, somehow Bill Irwin says, Chris, will you just join me? I'm like, yeah, sure. So like, now I'm like having this blanket over my head and I'm like hobbling around like my own little hedgehog with him. Yeah. Now we're doing this like duo hedgehog routine, like just making stuff up.
Oh, wow.
And that's how Bill works. And, you know, he's just trying to find what this might be. So then after that week concluded, word on the street was that something with Bill and Netflix, or who knows what happened. I don't know. Bill went back to New York and that role wasn't filled for whatever reason. I don't know.
Sure.
But Bill calls me up and says, hey, listen, I can't commit to the project, but I get you a meeting with Christopher Guest. And I was already on that tape, right? I was already on these like workshop tape. So it happened very quickly. Then like the producers called me in and I ended up meeting with Christopher Guest in his office for literally an hour and a half. We just sat together, just him and I.
Just the two of you. Oh my God.
And he just says to me, like, Chris, like, I need a hedgehog to do something. And I'm like, okay, sure. I just need, this has got to be the award-winning routine of this movie. And I'm like, all right. And I need a soccer ball in this routine. That was it. He's like, can you do it? And I was like, yeah. Yes, I can, Mr. Guest. And then like they offered me this job. And they got a studio, and I was in the studio for 2 weeks by myself, and with all these mirrors. And
just designing.
Yeah, I had to write the routine from start to finish. Like I had nothing, and I would just sort of write stuff, and like I'd workshop it, and then he would come down and sit in a chair, sometimes with his wife Jamie Lee Curtis, and they would watch. Cool. He gave me like 3 or 4 days to like get started, and then they'd come down and sit in these little chairs, and I'd be like, okay, this is what I got. And he's so dry, Chris Guest, like he's really dry. So like,
waiting for Guffman, for those people who don't know, that's his thing.
He would never have like a lot of reaction. He would just be like, like watching me. And I was just like, I'm going to lose the job, right? Like, you're firing me? Is that right? Is that what's happening here? But anyway, and at that point, my wife was pregnant. She was getting ready. And the delivery of my first son was lining up the week we're going to shoot that sequence. And I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Oh my God.
And like they're not gonna like, I don't know. Anyway, I was like, oh, hey, by the way, my wife's, pregnant. Like,
What would have come first, the job or the baby?
oh no,
Don't answer.
I'm upside down on this ladder, sweating. I'm dying up there on this ladder, just like thinking, like, what are we doing here?
How did you practice that? I know you're a stunt guy. How did you practice that alone? How did you do that?
I didn't practice that alone. When the ladder sequence came into that routine, I was like, this is what I want the ball up there in the ladder. And in fact, there were some things that were cut from the sequence. Like I actually had the ladder fall. Like I was looking at Buster Keaton videos. I was getting inspiration of like some of those old sequences, and I was sort of like borrowing certain things.
Inspired.
One of my favorite sequences didn't make the film where the ladder would collapse, go up and down. But nonetheless, I worked with a stunt team and like the best riggers in Hollywood, the best stunt coordinators, and that really helps put that whole thing together. So like, I'm safetied in on special safety lines while I'm up there, and I can't see, and I'm sweating bullets. And
so I'm thinking, in that outfit, how did you do it? It's so amazing.
Yeah, completely blind. In fact, I remember, I don't want to bore you too much, but like I remember like training for that. At that point, that the suit wasn't built, so I trained, like I had to walk on that big ball or ride a unicycle or fall down, and I put this box over my head and cut like a tiny little hole out just so I could practice what it would like simulate complete. Like I can't see anything, so I'm like, I have to get used to this now, because when that suit is ready for me, I'm gonna have like 3 days before we shoot this thing. And so that's my like management. I'm like, let me practice. So I literally have old videos of me with a box over my head, like with a little pinhole, just so I can get used to being visionless, Yeah. So anyway.
Wow, I am such a fan. Like, you're incredible. Like,
thanks. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing all this. I don't want to keep you forever. I do, but I know you have a family, whatever. Any last things you want to share? What is a dream? I have to ask you this. What's a dream opportunity? Since it doesn't come to you, you got to put it out there for you. What's another dream opportunity that you got to get?
I would love to work on I would be like a drama. Would just be, you've seen my work here. I would love to work on a TV, like a television show, like on a drama. That would be my dream. Maybe with Bill Irwin.
Not doing the fun stuff, like taking all the fun stuff out.
There's always a little bit of fun in the drama, and would be my ingredient. A little tiny bit of fun sprinkled in there, just to give it a little flavor. But I'm good at that stuff. I'm also great at drama, and that would be the dream. So
we can trade. I want to do some fun stuff with fire, but I'll die. But whatever.
Yeah,
it's worth it. I'm older. I've lived longer, and it's time for me to go.
Yeah.
Anything you want to promote or talk, or like say, hey, check this out, or anything like that? I know you got some things coming.
A couple things coming. Nothing specific at this time.
Yeah, you can say, is that the case?
It's just, keep tuned in and say hi if we cross paths. And if anybody has something cool, I'd love to be a part of your project. So.
All right. Where can they find you? Just on IMDb or Instagram?
Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I'm okay at social media. Maybe I should be better, but I try to keep up as best as I can.
We didn't even know we were Facebook friends, people.
There you go. So yeah, Instagram, say hi. I'm on Facebook. I still use that a little bit as well.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. Stand by for 1 second. Everyone else, check him out on IMDb. And like, share, comment, tell your friends, and that's it. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
These are the parts I play, filling